Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome to the Best Mom Ever podcast, your place for learning how to create a close relationship with your teen, even if they have already shut you out. I'm Allison, and I want to help you get out of struggle and into trust, happiness, and confidence with your teen without throwing pills at the problem. Thanks so much for listening, and we are glad you're here. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Best Mom Ever podcast. I'm Allison, and I'm so excited to be your host. And we get to talk about we get to bring you the tools that you need to have the relationship that you dream of with your teenager. I am a parenting teens strategy specialist, a fancy name for a parenting coach. And I love this collaborative process of brainstorming with parents about any kind of challenge that they're having with a teen. We get into this dialogue, okay, maybe we need to show more vulnerability here to create more trust, or maybe we actually need to moderate our reaction a little bit more, kind of play that poker face a little bit so that we don't make our teen feel unsafe for bringing us something, that we're giving this huge dramatic response to something that they really wanted us to be cool about. So just kind of those subtle nuances that happen within a relationship and those conversations you get to have with a parent because they know their teen the best. So I got to talk to this amazing, beautiful, and brave mom of two out in Colorado. And she is courageously adjusting to all of the changes in her life right now. But she just got this sweet look on her face and was like, okay, so I really want to ask, how do I ask all the right questions? How do I ask the questions? And I think that this is a super great question. So we get to talk about how to ask teens great questions, right? Because we don't want to just get fine, eye roll, go upstairs, ignore us. We want to know what's going on with them. So we want to know what their hopes and dreams are. We want to know what they love. We want to just really get insight into that beautiful human that we have the honor of raising into an adult, right? So I get to share with you some of the tools that we need to have great communication with our teens. And then also, so we're going to talk about curiosity, and then we're going to talk about some strategies to build that curiosity at the end of this, or the second half of this recording here with you all. So, okay, so the first thing, if you want to ask great questions of your teenagers and get that beautiful connected response from them, we first need to listen before we can ask great questions. Because what are we even going to ask them about if we don't listen to them? If we don't know what they're thinking, then there's nothing really to even ask them. We want to know, what are their hopes and dreams, who they are underneath their skin. But that part of their character isn't really developed yet. They're still figuring out who that is as young people in the world. And they're still trying to figure out that dynamic. And so that's not fully formed yet for them. And we need to really tune in and listen to who they are to even know what questions to ask them. The beautiful thing about listening, it's not just hearing them, right? It's genuinely wanting to understand what's motivating them, what they're interested in, what they like wanting to have a deeper understanding of them and accepting who that is. So I've really been enjoying this idea of unconditional acceptance being the language that helps us to communicate our unconditional love. Some people feel like they're one and the same thing, and maybe they are. But for the sake of conversation, I'm going to say that what we get to do here is show our love by saying, you know what? No matter what you come to me with, no matter what you share, while I'm listening, I'm going to accept you. You don't have to put up any kind of a facade for me. I accept you. You don't need to change to get my attention, to get my love, to get my acceptance. Okay. And then while we're listening and hopefully asking some questions as well, which we'll get into in a little bit, but you see that it's literally the first step is to listen. And that is the first part of asking great questions, is to really be conscious of the tone that we use and the energy of our voice when we're talking, that we are genuinely showing our curiosity, that we are, expressing that unconditional acceptance and our desire to really understand and show interest in what our teen wants to talk about. And it may not be something super profound. I know that the type of people that are going to be drawn to an experience like this or that are going to be listening to this podcast are probably going to be the type of people that are a little more self aware, a little bit more deep, a little bit more profound. But teens may not always be that way. I mean, there are teens that are like that, but sometimes they just really, especially in the time that they have to spend with us, they may just really want to decompress and do that TikTok, Snapchat, those kinds of things. Another great, just quick little tool that doesn't deserve its own point, but it's also, I find to be super helpful, is to use the word we instead of you. Just a little bit disarming, again, helps to build that trust so that our teens are more likely to answer our questions. And our specialty here on Best Mom Ever is teenagers, specifically teenage girls and non-binary teens. But we welcome all humans, all different types of humans. So if you don't have a teenager, if you just want to create better relationships in your life, this podcast is for you. Okay, so your first question when you're listening. So you're constantly going to confirm that you're listening. Yes. Like, oh, that's interesting. Those kinds of little sounds that let people know that you're engaged with them. Well, the first question you want to ask is actually going to be an invitation to talk more. So, what else? Can you tell me more? Like, ask a specific question about something that they're already talking about. Oh, okay. So, tell me more about this particular superstar that you're interested in. Or, okay, I don't understand how that happened. Like, can you give me more information about that? Like, ask them. Like, it's hard for me to give you a specific example here of that first question because it's really just you have to be listening to figure out how to provide them that invitation to talk more. But one of my favorites that I've gotten, like when I've had something really heavy that I've needed to share, has been, okay, what else? Okay, yeah, tell me more. Like, what else? And that it just really creates that safety to keep going and to share more. So the third thing is going to be that clarification piece, which is kind of what I talked about, but it's that restate that you hear a lot of times when we're talking about like counselors and stuff do this kind of thing. Like, it sounded like you said this. Okay. And then this is a really great time to show our teen that we're actually listening to them by repeating it back, by trying to get more information about the things that they've already shared. So those are the first 3 steps of really asking great questions of your teenager that keep them talking, make them want to be engaged in the conversation with you. All right. So number 4, we're going to give agency. Okay. Agency is personal power. So giving them power in the situation. I love to talk about how like kind of our time for teaching has already passed by the time we have teenagers. They need you to guide them. But it doesn't mean our job is over, right? It just means that our role has shifted. And so what we need to do is be constantly giving them the power to make decisions in their own life while they still have you to guide them. Your job is not over. I know I said that, but I just want to make it really clear. Your teen still needs you, still really wants to have you in their life. So if you're struggling, please reach out because we don't want you to be struggling. It's way too important. Our teens really need to have this strong foundation. They need to know their value. So when we're giving them agency, we are asking them questions that make them think. This is leadership, people. So that's from Brennan Burchard, is to lead is to ask questions that make people think. He's the author of High Performance Habits. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. So other opportunities within the conversation to give some agency, like I wonder what options you might have. Okay, yeah, well, that sounds like a really tough situation. Validation is also super important in these conversations. But like, what do you think that you could have done differently in this situation that would have been more in line with who you are? So we're giving our power back to our teens and saying, like, yep, I know that you inside yourself have the knowledge. I've already given you the values. I've already given you the tools. I've already taught you so much about life as your parent. I trust you. to handle this situation. That's what we're saying when we ask these types of questions, is we're saying like, I think you have the resources inside of you to figure this out, especially if you have me as your guide. So really making sure that when we're connecting with our teenagers, we are listening deeply. We are asking them questions that are confirming that we are listening, and we are inviting them to talk more with the kinds of things that we ask. So this is not our opportunity to jump in with some great parenting advice. I know you have amazing experienced parents, but your teens, they don't want to know. They don't care about that. It just feels insulting, because what we're supposed to be doing at this point is giving them that agency, teaching them that we know that they can do it. We believe that they can do it. That's the only thing we're still teaching at this point, basically. I mean, yeah, if your teen is like, hey, I want your advice, like, yes, thank you for asking. I'm so glad to tell you what I would do in this situation. But we don't get that opportunity very often as parents of teenagers. So just inviting you to be aware of that particular piece, that we are giving them the power, we are feeding them this knowledge that we believe in them and that they have the tools inside of them. They have the capacity to solve problems without us hand feeding them every single step of the way. Yeah, so I'm super excited about this conversation. I love the way that people respond when I talk to them using these strategies. So I hope you will employ some of them. What I would like to do now is share with you some tools, some tips and tricks on how to cultivate curiosity in your own life. Okay, so this one comes from one of my favorite parenting coaches, Vivek Patel. He came on my summit in March of 23, and we got to talk about wonder, parenting with wonder, and how just being so in awe of nature, or just how exquisitely beautiful and amazing our teenagers are as humans, as like lovely beings that like wander around in our lives, and we get to support them and teach them and show them things. It's just like such a gift. So like being in that space of like, wow, so incredible. Like, I'm so lucky to have you in my life. Like, this sense of wonder is really a powerful thing to create more curiosity in your life and make this sort of listen first energy something that feels really authentic to you and not something that you have to force. Okay, so some of the ways that we can activate more wonder in our life is to spend some time in nature, right? It's like the greatest way to feel small is to go somewhere big, like a mountain, or, even stand next to a tree, like, 150-year-old tree, really beautiful. Another thing that we can do to create this awe in our life is to really focus on our gratitudes. Don't forget your gratitude. Like just this breath in my chest right now. I'm so lucky to have it. Like just your ears listening to my podcast right now, like such an incredible gift that you are here working on your relationship with your teenager. You're changing the world. That is something to be so, so grateful for. Another one that can be really helpful here is humor. It also helps us lighten the mood, like just take some of the pressure off of any of it, like the expectation, like I need my teen to respond in this way. Like we can just release all of that because it's funny. Because it's funny. All right. I'm taking myself too seriously over here too, trying to record this podcast. But yeah, humor. Like you can just take so much pressure off of a stressful situation with your teenager, because they definitely exist, right? Is to have this humor, this use of humor. Okay. So another way that you can create more authenticity with your listening or your cultivating of curiosity is going to be to ask yourself questions. All right. So when something comes up with your teenager, like what else is going on? Why are they behaving in this way that I wasn't expecting? What's motivating them? Like sitting there and like just spending some time with the question before you open your mouth and ask it. What else could be happening that I'm not thinking of right now? Okay, loves, I feel like that's a lot to drop on you today, but I really just hope that you get to enjoy being with your teenagers and their beautiful essence while you listen to them. And hopefully, all of that listening turns into a lot of beautiful conversations that you get to be a part of. I'm so proud of you being open to hearing a new perspective and trying some new things to have a great relationship with your teenager. Thank you so much for listening. And please remember to be kind to yourself this week. So much love, so much gratitude. Have a beautiful day. Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show. If you know that you want to have a great relationship with a young person in your life, but you are still struggling, I have an opportunity for you. I am a parenting teens strategy specialist with years of experience working with parents to build stronger, more connected, peaceful relationships with their kids. And I am filling the last handful of spots in my Best Mom Ever private program. If you love what you hear and you know you need more support, book a free Trust and Freedom Breakthrough call with me. On that call, we'll have the opportunity to get clear on what you really want in your relationship with your teenager, figure out what might be missing from your parenting strategy, discover what might be blocking your relationship and keeping you from that closeness, and really learn how to make your young person want to share what's going on with them, their heart, okay? We'll discover what it takes to get the peaceful, connected relationship that you want, even if you think it's too late. These calls will be available for a limited time, and they are free, so go ahead and grab one. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.